I found out I have a sister, and she told me a dark secret about our family that I can't tell anyone about. Recently, I discovered I have a sister from my dad's side. My relationship with my dad was not good since he left my mom when she was pregnant with me. My sister said her mom confessed she wasn't sure who the father was when she was pregnant, but she hoped it wasn't my dad because he had reportedly roofied and assaulted her at a party. I feel so twisted inside knowing that my dad might be a rapist, and I worry it may impact my sister. IF 24. Recently found out I had a sister no one knew about on my dad's side. Backstory. My dad and I have a bad relationship. If what you call meeting the man only once in your life a relationship to begin with. My mom and him were seeing each other back in the day, and once she found out she was pregnant, he basically left after she denied his request to abort me. Fast forward 13 years and on and off contact with him for most of it. I found my aunt on Facebook and sent her a message. It would be 3 years before she actually saw it, and come to find out he never told his side of the family I existed. After a paternity test and some awkward conversations, I was welcomed into that side of the family and actually grew close to a lot of the people on my dad's side of the family, specifically my aunt, his sister, who I just clicked with on a spiritual level, and she was honestly my biggest supporter during the very stressful and anxious time of getting to know that side of the family. During this time, there was a lot of pressure from his side of the family on me and him to have a relationship, especially from my grandparents. It's not that I didn't try, but it honestly felt like he only put in enough effort to please his parents. I could go more in detail, but this would end up being a book. Years later, after realizing the type of man my father was and how immature he was, I decided to be the one to sit him down and tell him how I felt like I couldn't trust him, and that I was tired of the on and off contact, and I didn't want a relationship with him. It took me weeks of stressful decision-making to come to this conclusion, and honestly, it was a very emotional talk for me, and helped me heal some wounds from my childhood. I always thought when I was a kid, what's wrong with me? Or why didn't he want me? But as an adult, I see now some people just don't want to be parents. I thought that was the end, that I could move on. A couple months later, I got a call from my grandfather telling me I had a sister. I was shocked. It's definitely not what I was expecting, but I wasn't just going to write her off. I had always wanted a sister, and while I knew we couldn't have the relationship I dreamed about, I was honestly excited to talk to her. After talking with my grandparents and other minor drama, I'm not going to include LOL, I was able to actually speak to her on the phone for the first time. The conversation did not go as I expected. I expected small talk. I knew our father would come up eventually, and I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't try to sway her relationship with him. If she asked, I would answer her questions truthfully, but her relationship and what she decided with him was her own business. The topic came up. She asked if I had a relationship. I said no. She asked why. I explained that I personally had trust issues with him, and I decided I didn't want him in my life. After some more talk on the topic, she sounded nervous and said she wanted to tell me something. She proceeded to tell me that her mom ended confessing that she wasn't 100% sure who the father was at first, and she was hoping it wasn't my father, because he was the man who had roofied her and took advantage of her at a party once. To say I was floored was an understatement. Honestly, I had no idea how to respond as she continued to talk about it. I just kept saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," and "I don't know what to say." Apparently, her mother was seeing a man at the time, and she was with her friends at a club bar one night when this happened. She was hoping it was with the guy she was seeing at the time, but apparently not. They, I guess, broke up before she found out she was pregnant, and by then she didn't really know who the father was and didn't really want to address it with either guy. The only reason my sister was able to confirm it was when she did an ancestry DNA test and matched with a great aunt of mine. The conversation ended with me asking if she was going to tell the family and saying I believed her and offered support on whatever she decided to do. She said her mom didn't want her to. I told her that I wouldn't tell anyone if she didn't want me to, and she agreed to not tell anyone. Honestly, for a couple weeks after that, I was emotionally twisted. Yes, I know she could have lied, but I honestly believe her, and I'm an innocent until proven guilty kind of girl. My biggest things were the implications of this. My father is a bartender. He was when her mom and him met, and he is still one to this very day. How many girls has he done this to? Does this mean I might have other siblings? I was also questioning why she told me something like this to a person who is basically a stranger. I was freaking out about all of it, and honestly, this knowledge she gave me felt like a burden because I couldn't do anything about it or really talk to anyone. I got so stressed I ended up talking to my mom about it because she does not communicate with that side of my family, and I needed someone I could talk to. I ended up talking to my sister again and getting more clarification on why she told me. She said she had honestly just found out from her mother and was struggling with it. After what I said about my relationship with our father, she said she felt like she could talk to me. We had a long talk, and I reassured her that I would be here for her, and if she did decide to tell the family, I would have her back. I know if she did tell them that it would immediately cause chaos and a feud, and she's aware of that too. She said she had been dreaming of having more family since she was little, and while she did not want a relationship with our father, she did want one with the family. What I'm struggling with is the fact that my father is a rapist, because, while we can call it drugging, that is what he did to her mother. He raped her. I'm struggling with the fact that I can't tell anyone on that side of the family this huge secret, especially my aunt, who I know would kill her brother in a heartbeat. I'm struggling with the fact that there might be other women out there he has done this to, and maybe even still doing it to. I don't know how to move forward. It's my sister's story, and I can't tell it to our family, but knowing this is twisting me up inside. As of now, my father has been practically MIA and is refusing to talk to our sister. If he even remembers what he did, I don't know. Story 2. New update. Aita, for checking my wife's phone after she asked me if I would agree to an open relationship. I, 23, may have been married to my wife, 23, for a year now. We have been dating since we both were 17, and last year we got married. My wife is my first, but she had a boyfriend before me, and I never really cared about it because back then she was literally a child. Our whole relationship and marriage has been strong. She's a very lovely woman who cares for me and thinks about me. There were never really any red flags until this one 3 days ago while we were watching movie and drinking. My wife suddenly asked me if I would be okay with open relationship and asked me how would I feel if I saw her getting fucked by another guy. I asked her how would you feel if I had a side piece and brought her home often and fuck her every day right where we are sitting right now, while she's in the next room or in front of us. Would that not make her go insane? She got very, very sad and started crying, but I hugged and kissed her, said we have a very loving relationship together, and our marriage is going great. We are a team, and there's no reason for us to put each other through pain, and we made out. Before going to sleep, she said she was just joking, and was curious how I would react, and I said it's no problem, but I couldn't stop thinking about what she said, so I decided to check her phone next day when she wasn't around, but she caught me. She said that I'm not trusting her and taking a drunken discussion very seriously, and I can check her phone all I want every day for how many years I want. She texted me her email password and other social media and said check everything and keep checking until I find something. Even if it takes 10 years, she isn't talking to me and just ignoring me. Even when she's giving me food, she's not talking to me. So did I do something wrong here? Update. I need advice. I want to know if I'm safe or not. I'll post TLDR because I don't know how to link my previous post. So like 2 weeks ago, I made a post. Me and my wife are 23. My wife had suddenly asked me at night while drinking that if I would be okay with opening our relationship. That got me angry, and I pulled reverse card on her and asked the same question. She got upset, but I apologized later, which calmed her down. I kissed her and we went to bed, but I was bothered, so I checked her phone next day. She caught me and got angry and said that I am taking her drunken talk way too seriously, and she gave me her phone, emails, password, everything, and said that I can check everything, and for however many years I want. But I kept thinking all these days, I was so very much bothered by what she said that I had grown suspicious of her cause of all the comments and DMs I got. She is a very lovely woman and love of my life. She's the only woman I have ever been, and I love her, but I couldn't stop thinking of what she said and can't imagine her getting fucked by other men. I decided to test her. Yesterday, I sat her down and told her that I am okay with opening our relationship, but it won't be open relationship, but I will give her hall passes. As long as she's truthful to me, I will let her explore, because I understand that you are curious, because before me, you were only with one man, and you were a child. My wife immediately got angry at me and asked me if I have gone mad. She asked me if I'm still holding on to the drunken conversation we had days ago, and now I want to see her with another man. She got so angry she yelled, and after a while she started crying. She said she's sorry for what she asked of me. I told her that I love her, and if that's what she really wants, I will allow her. As long as she's truthful, I will think of your happiness first. She started crying even more and said that she's sorry that she put me through this. She said she loves me and would never see me mentally broken and break our marriage. I asked her, why did she bring it up then, when she didn't want it in the first place? She said she was reading a lot about open relationship on the internet, and when she was drunk, she just blurted without thinking. I said it's okay, but if she ever wants anything like that, just tell me, and I will make her happy. She said she doesn't want anyone else other than me. What we did next is not relevant. She's still angry at me for what I said, and only talks to me when I talk to her. I brought her a good necklace today. She's happy and thanked me, but she isn't really back to the way she was. She's still angry a bit. So am I safe here? I can tell that she doesn't really want open relationship or anything of sort. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reacted the way she did. Advice, please. Story 3. AITA for agreeing with my mom that it's kind of pathetic my wife can't cook. 28M. Have been married to my wife, 31F, for about a year. Overall, things are great, but one thing that's been bugging me is that my wife doesn't know how to cook at all. I've always been the one to handle meals, which I was fine with in the beginning because I enjoy cooking, but over time, it started to wear on me, especially when I come home after a long day at work and still have to cook dinner while she relaxes. She refuses to cook and claims there is nothing wrong with not being able to cook. It's been an ongoing issue between us. I have been trying to teach her, but she is really bad at it. Many conversation about this. The other night, my mom, 56F, came over for dinner. As usual, I was in the kitchen preparing everything, and my wife was sitting with my mom. At one point, my mom offered to help, and I asked if she could make the gravy or cut some fruit. My wife was standing around in the kitchen when my mom handed her a knife and asked her to cut some fruit while she handled the gravy. My wife couldn't figure out how to hold it properly and ended up making a mess. My mom watched her fail to cut the fruit and then blurted out, "It's honestly kind of pathetic that you don't even know how to cut a piece of fruit at your age." She then went behind her and started to guide her how to cut stuff like you do with a kid. My wife kinda shrugged and finished cutting her fruit with my mom guiding her. Dinner happens, and I noticed my wife was not happy the whole night. My mom left and she was pissed I didn't defend her, that I embarrassed her by letting it happen. We got into a bad argument and I told her that it is pathetic. She cannot even cut fruit. She is literally older than me and can't hold a knife properly. She told me that is not the point, and I needed to defend her, and it's not her fault she is bad at cooking. I point out it is, and she is embarrassed because not being able to hold a knife properly is embarrassing for an adult. My wife thinks I am a huge jerk. Edit. I cannot keep up. Over 2,000 comments and I have things to do. If you have an info, may already be answer in a previous comment. So update. I definitely think this is weaponized incompetence. I will suggest marriage counseling and cooking classes. If things don't change, I will be out. I will make this very clear. Also for those asking, it was strawberries. She was smushing them and cutting them with the stems still on. Relevant comments. Commenter. Does she do the dishes? Help clean up? I don't think it really matters which partner does the cooking necessarily, as long as the other is helping. And the standard deal that almost everyone seems to follow is that if one person cooks, the other person cleans up. In my house, my wife usually cooks, and I usually clean, which is fine because she enjoys cooking and is good. I'm okay, I can cook, but she's definitely better. My mom and stepfather, though, are essentially the opposite. She got home from work late usually and isn't a great cook anyways, so he cooks and she does the dishes. And yes, it is kinda pathetic that she can't even use a knife. Even if you aren't a good cook, you should at least be able to figure out how to hold a knife. That's just silly. OP. No. Not really. I usually clean as a cook, so not much to do, and I don't really count putting your dish in the dishwasher to be much. Commenter. NTA. She should be helping somehow. You're not her personal chef. Commenter. I used to think it didn't matter which partner cooked and which did the dishes. I was the one who cooked. My ex refused to learn or try to learn. Then we had kids. The mental load of meal planning and prep and managing all food decisions for a family of 4 for 18 years changed my mind. Cleanup is just cleanup. There's no mental labor involved. It's a discrete task that is done and over quickly. Meal planning and cooking is an ongoing grind, and the actual cooking is just the tip of a much bigger household labor iceberg that includes managing leftovers and food storage, grocery planning, even if the other person shops, etc. Being the only cook in a household is way more taxing over the years than being the one who cleans up. I'm not saying it's why my ex is my ex, but it's a not small part of it. And an adult should be able to cut a piece of fruit and do extremely basic tasks to feed herself. This sounds like some weaponized incompetence, and while I wouldn't say calling her pathetic was the best choice of words, overall, NTA. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.